probably have to go back to when I was about 5 years old, I would say I started playing baseball. So I guess that brings me to T-ball.
So when I first started playing, I was probably about 8 years old. My dad was big into baseball. It's been my favorite sport ever since I was a little kid.
Take me way back to when I was young, just playing T-ball.
As a kid, I was a huge fan looking at the Pirates and everything, and my dad played a little bit of college and everything. So after him and everything he taught me, we just went to the cages one time, and I just fell in love with it as soon as I started hitting the ball in the cage. Just everything about it. I would always swing out of my shoes, actually, believe it or not. I had to get new pairs of shoes all the time. I love to swing. I love to hit.
I mean, yeah, going into last year, and we had a really solid team. We had a strong core of players that were returning from the previous season.
Coming in was rough for me because I just got done with wrist surgery and physical therapy for that, so I was out of the game for about 3 months. For me, it was rough, but as a team, we were ready to go play some baseball. We were ready to win some games.
I feel like a lot of us were ready. I was ready personally. I just transferred in from a different school.
It was very strange. Like usually with most seasons of any sport at any time, you pretty much know when the end is going to be. Like you can plan out for it. Not so much after our first week of games, just being told that that's going to be it for the rest of the season. It was a very weird feeling.
We were really excited to go on the field. You know, it was my freshman year here at La Roche, and we had a pretty good team, and we were just very excited to go on the field.
I would say the bond is pretty tight knit. Pretty much everybody accepts everybody. You know, everybody has different skill sets, different things that they're good at, but for the most part, everybody's very welcoming whenever you come to the team.
We all get along together. We got a great chemistry on and off the field. So I mean, that definitely helps us a lot. It's a brotherhood. I mean, if you're a teammate of mine, you're a brother of mine for life.
It's pretty cool to be around guys that all want to be there to win the championship. They all want one. We all want the same thing.
To put the bond into words, it's just, you know, it's an unbreakable one, and you can always count on those guys. They're always there for you, and, you know, it's a special thing to have.
The first inform we had, we were actually all sitting around the pool in Florida when we all got the same email at the same time notifying us that our season has been postponed.
We actually were talking to one of the other teams. It was Swarthmore, I think we were playing, and they said their season was canceled. And at that time, we just thought, you know, oh, well, we're next. You know, we're the next ones that are going to go.
We were actually in the middle of a game, and one of my teammates said, yeah, the first case of COVID-19 hit in the U.S. I'm like, what's COVID-19? Like I never knew anything of it.
We've been hearing news. This could be your last game. Play hard because this is it. I mean, you leave it all out here. I mean, we didn't start the season off great, but he said just play hard. I mean, because this could be it. And especially for me as a senior, I thought it was it. I didn't have anything else left.
Nobody really knew what was going on because it was just starting up. And then eventually the NCAA was tweeting out on Twitter tons of stuff about how teams were just canceled seasons. One of my buddy up at Cal U actually got canceled. He called me and said, you guys are probably next.
We flew out that night from Fort Myers, and I was boarding my plane. I got the text message from Coach Lubin saying, yeah, just want to let you guys know the season's canceled. Definitely shocked. Mix of feelings, like frustrated, upset, because like put a lot of hard work into going into the season.
Yeah, hand in your stuff. Like, we don't know what's going on. Like, because at first I think La Roche said that, you know, 2 weeks we were gonna, like, you know, go away. And then as soon as all the bigger schools started canceling their schooling, then La Roche just followed suit.
When I first heard about it, I was like, oh, nothing's gonna happen out of it. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna end up playing.
When I heard about COVID, I knew it was kind of gonna be like an impact on other areas, but I didn't really think it was gonna come into play in the U.S. as big as it did.
I didn't really think it was, you know, that big of a deal and whatnot, and I thought maybe we were gonna play through it and not get canceled, but obviously it didn't happen.
I actually did a paper on it. You know, I was doing a paper on diseases and stuff, and I actually learned about it a lot before it actually came here. And the more and more I learned about it, the more and more I heard about it, I just knew it was going to get bad. I just knew everything was just coming down, means to an end.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible. I've never felt anything like it in my whole baseball career. You felt helpless because you knew there's nothing you could do. It was totally out of your hands, and there's just nothing you could do about it. It was horrible.
We might not have a season, like we might be done. And like some of this older guys, like they couldn't come back. And some could, but it was just tough to see those guys like go out like that because it was just so abrupt. Like that we thought we had 30, 40 more games to go, and like a whole season, really.
It was very strange. Like usually with most seasons of any sport at any time, you pretty much know when the end is going to be. Like you can plan out for it. Not so much after our first week of games, just being told that that's going to be it for the rest of the season. It was a very weird feeling.
It really hit me because I didn't think that I was gonna ever play baseball again. Honestly, at that time, I had no idea what was gonna happen.
Knowing I was a senior, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to get another chance. Knowing my baseball career could be coming to an end.
I just felt like, the first postponement of school was 2 weeks. And, we felt like, an extra week spring break, it'll be good for rest, it'll be good. And then we would get back in April. And then, I think once we realized that the whole world was ceasing things, that it was going to take, I figured, a couple months, but as it progressed on, you could just tell that it was going to take a long time before we could get back to normal life.
I mean, I didn't think we would have shut down everything for as long as we did. I thought it was going to be a little bit quicker. I mean, I didn't think it was going to take over everything we knew.
So a lot of kids were upset about it. I don't think we all really understood how serious it was. We'd never really been part of like a global pandemic, so it was a first for all of us. But having COVID myself and coming back from that, I lost roughly like 16 to 18 pounds, just not due to like any sense of taste or smell. It was just I did not have an appetite whatsoever. And then coming back from that, I dealt with like a lower back strain that I'm still kind of dealing with right now.
We really didn't know how long it was going to last. We were just hoping it wouldn't last too long so we could get back at it the next year.
I think we all lost time. It's a weird feeling to have. Like on the field, you feel like you're a junior, but I still feel like a sophomore because I lost last season.
A young man who was killed over the weekend in a motorcycle crash had been a star athlete in Jeanette. Police say Trey Cunningham crossed the center line on Route 130 to pass an SUV, but was then hit as the SUV made a turn.
Trey was really one of my best friends on this team. One of my best friends outside of the team and just in real life in general. So I was with him the night before, and I was at my friend Tyler Vargon's house, also a teammate, and we were hanging out with him. I was supposed to drive him back, and he ended up switching his mind. So I followed him out because I wanted to see his brand new bike. And when we left, whenever he left, we came back, woke up the next day at like 6 a.m. to probably 18 to 20 phone calls from the girl that he was talking to and also former teammate Trey Thomas. So I instantly called Trey back, and he kind of told me the news super early, and it was just a big shock. I didn't think it was real.
Trey and I were really close. We had a pretty cool bond about motorcycles. We both rode. He had a bike, he had a dirt bike, and I had a dirt bike as well. And then he actually ended up breaking his dirt bike, and he got a street bike. And he was sending me pictures of it when he got it. And he said, "Hey man, this is really awesome. You gotta look into it. You gotta get one." And so I was actually, a week went by and I was looking at one, and I was going to buy one. It was the Sunday. I was going to buy the bike and Saturday night I texted him. I said, "Hey, I'm going to buy that bike tomorrow. We should ride." He said, "Yeah, let's do it." Next morning I wake up, he's gone. We get the text. It was tough. We always talked about, "Hey man, like we should ride. We got to ride dirt bikes together. We got to do something. Like we got to link up, spend some time on the bikes." We talked about it all the time. I mean, in the dugout, on the field, we would talk about it. Like,
yeah, so Trey was my roommate last year. So me and him had an apartment last year off campus. And, Trey was a really good kid. You always want to be around Trey because he was going to put a smile on your face. He was always a happy-go-lucky kid. He worked hard. He knew, when to be serious, but he also knew when times called for him to be funny, uplifting, which he always was. You always wanted to be in the room with Trey.
Yeah, I knew him pretty well. We used to hang out in Bolt Hall a lot. He used to be just a god at ping pong. He used to have super long arms. I could just never beat him, I remember. But yeah, we had a great bond. I feel like he was always friends with a lot of us, a lot of the freshmen that were up in Bold. When I first got there, I was definitely a little intimidated by him. He was just super tall. He was he could just throw the hardest on the team. And I just remember everyone was just scared to go up against him just because how hard he threw. But he was just always a nice kid. Always a good guy. Trey was always a competitor. He's always wanted to win. So I feel like all he would want us to do is just play in his name and just play our hearts out till we win.
He was a pitcher and I was a catcher, so I obviously caught him a lot. And like we just bonded just because of that pitcher-catcher relationship. And we hung out a couple times and just it was very tragic for what happened to him. He was a great guy. He was funny. He was one of the funniest on the team. You know, everybody enjoyed him. Every time he'd come around, everybody would laugh because he like lightened up the room. I was in disbelief. I didn't believe it at first because I've heard about it happening to other teams, but like I was like, there's no way that this happened.
Trey was one of those guys who, the minute he stepped on campus, was looking to just pick at other people, and not in a bad way. He wanted to test the waters with everybody. I was a little different than everybody else because he might not have been able to physically do anything to me, but he was always working the mental game. And so our friendship really led into where he was always just trying to pick at me, and I would do the same to him, and it was just seeing who would crack first. So I think the friendship aspect of it was we were at a really good place as, you know, teammates and friends, and just something that, you know, it was a different bond than a lot of people would have had with others.
I know that he was the most genuine, easygoing, happiest person around us while we were there. Me being a pitcher and him being a pitcher, I spent a lot of my time with him. So I got to know him pretty well, I'd say, and I think that he was a wonderful person.
Trey was a great guy. I mean, I can't put into words just how amazing of a player and guy he was. I mean, he was there. He mentored me a little bit when I was young, when I was back as a freshman. And I remember playing ping pong with him in the ping pong room, actually, and he would just beat me after every match. And his energy brought to the team, the excitement, I mean, everything about him. He was just an amazing guy, and it's just tragedy. I mean, we're all still shocked by it. And I don't know how I would react if I was a coach and I lost a player like that. You just can't replace Trey Cunningham as a person or a player. He was just different. He was just a great guy.
I remember seeing him for the first time. It was in summer ball, and I remember just watching him pitch and the way that he carried himself, and it was really something cool to see. I think he had put up like 10 strikeouts against us in that game, and I was the opponent, so it wasn't really fun. But I wound up actually hitting a double off of him in that game. It was the only hit of the entire game, and we ended up winning that game. And then whenever I walked on here at La Roche, he had no clue who I was, so I made sure to make it known. I was like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but I hit a double off you in this game over summer ball, and our team wound up winning, and yada, yada, yada. And he was just like, oh, well, that's not going to fly around here, and just like joking around with me.
So he was my roommate freshman year. I thought we got along pretty well. I wasn't originally planned to room with him. I was supposed to be with somebody else, and then we just got thrown into a bowl room. I was at work early in the morning. I worked at a golf course, and I saw on the news. That was where I first actually saw it. I don't remember what it was, but it was on the news, and then I saw it on somebody's Instagram story, and I didn't believe it. I didn't even want to read it because like a few days later, I just Snapchatted him about his new bike, and I knew exactly what happened as soon as I heard.
We went to his funeral, and his funeral was very, very hard. I think there wasn't a dry eye there because he was so young. He was a great kid. Like, it just didn't deserve to happen to him because he was one of the best ones out there.
It was very, very sad. So I remember walking in and then seeing all my other teammates there. Everybody was just in tears, and it was just a very hard time because we all sat there in silence. And we did talk to Trey's parents, and they just were very upset about it, but they were very happy for what the team had brought to him.
A lot of crying, just shocked, like we're like just seeing that, like that's just nothing you don't want to see. I remember I literally made my mom come with me because like I couldn't do that, driving all the way out there and driving all the way back, feeling that, like it was just tough, just tough.
On my way up there, it was very hard. I drove up by myself, I knew a lot of our team was going to be there, but it was a hard drive for me because it was like one of the only times I lost, a close friend. When we got up to the funeral, there was probably 10 of us that walked in together. And as we were walking in, the feeling started to hit, started hugging each other. Each of us love each other and we're going to be there for each other no matter what. Seeing his family and all the community of Jeanette and all of his friends from back home, it was good to give our condolences to them and let them know that we really cared about him a lot. We saw him in the casket. We went to all of his friends and shook their hands and gave them hugs, and it was just a very emotional time. So after that, we all sat down and we probably waited around for 2 hours just sitting there, talking, remembering moments with Trey. And it was just a very emotional time, but at the same time, we had to do what we had to do. We had to go down there and support our brother.
Going out there, because that was the first time I'd ever really been out to see his family. I've talked to his dad a couple times, talked to his cousins and friends, but never face to face. And then all their family coming up to me and telling me what he was saying, the things that he was saying about me behind my back to his family. It was just kind of crazy to know how much he truly appreciated me as much as I appreciated him. They were the first people I really wanted to come and talk to, because they had given me a couple of his old things. I just wanted to make sure that they were okay and help them as much as I could. And they were just there ready to embrace me and help me. Because they were taking it a lot better than most of our team was. And for them to come up and help all of us through that made it a lot better.
So we got a group message text from one of our coaches that said we want to do something. And we absolutely said, let's do what we can. And somebody said, let's do a shirt. And so they sent the ideas, and everybody, literally all 35, 40 guys on the team had some sort of input. Let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. Let's make a black shirt, let's make a... Never once through my head did I think that, I was only purchasing one. It was, I want as many as I can because I want to be able to wear these every day of my life. And so those shirts, I think, everybody feels that there's something that connects them to Trey or whoever passes. And I feel like those shirts as a team made us think that if we all wore them at some point, we're all connected on a team to him. So it wasn't an individual connection, it was a team connection to Trey.
The main thing that they mean to us is that he's always there for us and he's always with us.
We don't designate it, but there are some times where you'll look around the infield and you'll see 4 or 5 guys straight in a row that have that shirt on. It just really makes you feel like if he was here, he'd probably tell us all to take them off because he didn't want his number being worn by anybody else. So, or he doesn't want his name on anybody else's shirt. That's only his shirt. And so, I think that you see oftentimes a lot of guys wearing that shirt, and it makes you think wow, he would be some sort of emotion. Probably not happy, but it is kind of crazy to see for sure.
To me, they just help me remember the type of player he was on the field when I wear it. That's what I try to be. Just try to have this different attitude and try to light up every person that I see. Try to make everybody happy.
It was so weird when we first got back on campus with all the different protocols and all the different ideas of, this is how things are now. It's not like the old days. That's how we say it. It's been odd to see, I think you live more in the past. Being able to see somebody's face and see an emotion in somebody without a mask on has been taken away, and it's just really been really tough. I'm a big person who likes to have that connection where I can understand what you're seeing, your emotions are through your body language. And so for not being able, it's hard to have communication and conversations with people when you don't know what they're feeling and what they're doing, or
Some of the changes are the mask. It's kind of difficult to play baseball in a mask because not really used to it, and just the social distancing part of playing on a baseball field and being in a dugout, we're not allowed to be real close to each other. So this is going to be difficult. But we'll get through it.
I'm just relieved that they have something that we can use rather than having to just shut it down completely. So any protocol that's kind of been put into place, I will do in a heartbeat just to make sure that I can still get back on the field and still play those few games that we have and just make the most of it.
Really, the only other thing that I can sort of see is the fans. I know fans are
traditionally speaking, like one of the greatest parts of baseball. Like every college team, every MLB team has crazy fans that just support their team. And like right now we're still in question. Like we don't know if we're even going to be allowed to have fans. So that plays a role as we play our season. Like if we're not allowed to have fans, you have to understand that like everything, if it's silent in baseball, it's harder. Like whenever it's loud is when like everything gets like serious and like you focus more, I feel like.
Even with the fact that we don't get to play that many non-section games now, I don't even know if we get any. I know we just play in conference now. I would say it's a lot different than what I expected it to be, but it's been helping. I mean, barely any of us have gotten anything, and it's been working. We've all been able to practice, and we get games, so I'd say it's pretty much helped a lot.
I feel like it kind of stinks that we have to have a shorter season because we're putting in a same amount of work. I feel like for the shorter, not as many games, but it's definitely great to be able to get out there and still play.
Just because we have a few or less games than any other year, I think we're just going to play it out as a regular season. We're not going to think about COVID. I think we're just going to take it day by day and game by game and see how it goes.
I'm very excited. This team, I feel like this team's really good. We have a lot of depth, a lot more than normal. So I'm very excited to see how these guys step up and how these guys can perform. It's a good year. It's gonna be a great year.
I would say even a 10-game season is worth it at this point, maybe even lower. I mean, I'm taking anything we can get at this point. I just want to play. I mean, we've been working hard in the fall. I mean, we've been playing scrimmages, inter squads. I mean, taking care of the field, lifting, everything. Waking up at earliest we can, 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning to run. Yeah, we'd play anything at this point.
I mean, I don't really like it personally. I'd like to play, you know, like 40 some games or whatever we usually play. But, you know, I mean, with COVID restrictions and that, you know, I mean, we'll take it right now because, you know, I mean, it's games and whatnot. But I would really like to play like 40 some games than what we usually do.
All right. Anytime you can get on the field with the guys you call your brothers, it makes it all the more special. You know, we've all come to realize here that every moment can't be taken for granted, and it's important to have, you know, no matter how long it is together, to make it the best possible. And I feel like no matter if it's 18 games or 118 games, we're gonna live it and play it the same way we would at all times. And I'm really excited just to see what this team can do going forward, and just being able to, you know, live out my dream and the thing that I've always wanted to do the rest of my life with these guys here. I wouldn't want it anywhere else.
Take 2. Action.
No, I'm a catcher. I'm not a good public speaker, so we'll see how it goes.
Mike Nuzzo, senior. I didn't look at you. I was. All right. All right.
Oh yeah, you were the
Yeah.
Very good from the moment that I got there. Everybody introduced themselves to me. Everybody made me feel welcome. So it was a lot.
Okay, Zachary, take 1 and action.
Okay. Might have to go down there and teach that question too. That was your test. Yeah.
Rolling. And Walker, interview, take 1. Action. Sound? Sound's rolling. Belpito, interview, take 1. Action.
Did you personally go to the funeral?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Unpause. There we go.
We shall wait.
But I feel like a rookie. I tell her,
Don't video me, man.
me and little baby going crazy. Weezy produced it and Weezy have made
I literally saw him. That almost broke the camera, huh, Scott?
All right.
That would have cost you some money, Raptor.
With these guys here, I wouldn't want it anywhere else.
Anything else you want to add?
That's really cool. I appreciate it.
Cut.